Welcome, everyone. We have once again in the next 15 or so minutes a presentation from Donald Trump meant to propagandize around his handling of coronavirus and to stay away as much as possible from any elements of medical being discussed. We know, and we saw the last couple of days, that Donald Trump does much better when he just has CEOs talk and talks about how great everything is and stays away from medical. Because, for example, yesterday, as soon as a question came up, do you think we can open up to 100% before having a vaccine? Trump said, oh, yeah, I think the virus is just going to leave. So every time that the topic goes back to medical, it's very bad for Donald Trump. And that's why we are seeing the focus on just economic stuff. Today is officially billed as President Trump delivers remarks on protecting America's seniors. Now, the one thing that might make today's briefing, or today's event, better than yesterday's is yesterday it was restricted only to in-house limited pool press corps, and today I believe it's the full White House press corps, I think, from what I read. So hopefully we'll see some nasty questions, by which I really mean journalism, and we're expecting that at the top of the hour. Official global coronavirus case toll almost 3.3 million, with 232,000 deaths, the real number many times this, of course. Here in the United States, we are very, very close. Tomorrow, we will probably hit 1.1 million cases. We are also at 63,000 deaths. Donald Trump initially estimating the total death toll would be 60,000. Latest estimates think that 100,000 dead by August is more likely. And we continue to find many, many new cases here in the United States. We are sort of in a month-long plateau right now in terms of cases. The death numbers spiking significantly Tuesday and Wednesday. This week, not good. The latest testing numbers, yesterday we tested 231,000 people. We still are not even to 50% of the minimum starting point that we need to be. 500,000 a day. Really, we need probably 1 million to 2 million a day. Quest Diagnostics has made available for $100 an antibody test. Anybody who wants to can get tested. I'm thinking of signing up and maybe getting the antibody test over the weekend or maybe early next week. Certainly would be an interesting thing for the show, and I will let you know what happens with that. And also want to mention Florida is apparently hiding coronavirus deaths. And this should not come as a surprise to anybody who's been looking at the numbers. Florida's policies have been terrible. And they have 33,000 cases, which maybe is the real number. A little hard to believe. As you can see, their testing is very low. Florida testing 18,000 per million. Massachusetts testing 38,000 per million. But the death toll in Florida just seems low, given the completely incompetent Republican leadership from Governor Ron DeSantis there, given that Florida's population is the 5th oldest in the United States. It didn't seem right. And now we do have a whistleblower who says that state health department intervened and told him it planned to remove causes of death and case descriptions from mortality data. So if you were suspicious that the numbers in Florida seemed weird, given that they have 21 million people and reopened beaches 10 days ago, you were right to be suspicious. And we will probably learn a lot more about this. One way to hide cases is to simply not test. We've talked about that before. A way to hide deaths is to hide the data. And that is what Florida is accused of doing as of right now. We will, of course, see what other information we learn about that. Welcome to everybody joining me once again. Always a pleasure to have you. We are live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Always, always, always remember, when you enter the YouTube stream, smash that like button and destroy, absolutely rip apart the subscribe button. Both are very, very important. Okay, let me read some super chats that have already come in, and then I have other things I want to go over with you. Zach Babo has subscribed on YouTube. Walker Anderson says, when will your first video release be on Tara Reid, I think I mean. CNN and MSNBC covered Tara Reid before you, LOL. I believe that there are currently 3 videos on my YouTube channel where the topic of Tara Reid is discussed. I have 3 more coming out this weekend. And I mean, what's the right number, right? I mean, 46 women have accused Trump of some level of sexual assault. My entire show could just be about that. I think I would lose my entire audience if that was all that I did. So what is like the right number of videos related to Tara Reade? Is it the only thing I should cover? Should I be mentioning it daily? Should I be like, what should I be doing? But yes, I believe we are currently at 3 videos where Tara Reade is discussed. 3 more will be uploaded in the next 72 hours. And I mean, is 6 a good number? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here, my friends. Martin Fillion has subscribed on YouTube. Per Tiren says Sweden is called out to make some good action, at least. Love from Sweden. Per, I don't know what you're talking about, but I always love seeing you in the super chats and very much appreciate your support. Mart Fillion said, oh, Mart, not Matt. Mart says, hello from Quebec, Canada, where the situation is following the same curve than the United States, a loss of trial and error. Okay. Ken Clive says governors are showing good leadership in this crisis. Would you like to see one of the good governors, Newsom, Cuomo, etc., be Biden's running mate? But I mean, sure. Biden has already said that he's choosing a woman. So I don't know if he would go back on that now. Phil J. Akir says, heyo. Walker Anderson says, why don't you cover Operation Warp Speed? It's good. Matthias Germany says, yesterday I hit the like button and broke my phone. Yeah, I liked my own stream yesterday, and the my screen protector flew off. It was crazy. It was just such an aggressive like motion that I used. Unknown Prodigy says a whistleblower asking nasty questions is now simply a journalist doing his job. Tracy Lee King has subscribed. And Stephanie Myers says, I just want to say that your content is great. Thank you for your work. Thank you to your staff as well. Very important. I appreciate it. Let's go over to Twitch, where there are many exciting things happening. I want to thank Candy for subscribing with Prime, as well as Rick88. Fried Sickle subscribes and says hello from Philadelphia. Jamaica Whitsetter has subscribed with Prime. B34G has subscribed with Prime. And Grattan B says, hi, David, just spending my monthly Bezos money on the best cause I can. Any tips on getting involved in politics in a deep red state like Nebraska? Yeah, find local races where you can make a difference. And making a difference in Nebraska might mean you get a lunatic far-right Republican replaced with a centrist Republican. Like, that might be as good as you can do in Nebraska. Okay, so you do it. Find local races to get involved in where you can very often have a significant impact and relatively quickly in some cases, for sure. Okay, other things that I wanted to go over with you guys. Donald Trump has reportedly threatened to sue his own campaign manager because I know it doesn't make any sense, because he's losing in every poll. Trump reportedly saying, I'm not losing to, a guy like Biden, and threatening to sue his own campaign manager. As you can see here, in the last 24 days, Biden is up in every poll nationally other than a Fox News poll, which is tied. If you believe that, then you have to also believe that Trump's losing in Texas, according to a new Fox News poll, which is crazy. Fox News polling is actually considered pretty good, despite Fox News opinion being trash. Biden winning by as many as 11 in a CNN poll, 10 in a USA Today poll, 8 in a Quinnipiac poll, 7 in NBC Wall Street Journal. This means nothing. We have 6 months to go. Everybody's got to vote, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, Donald Trump has been caught lying. I'm going to play video for you from Tuesday, and then I'm going to play video for you from Wednesday. On Tuesday, Trump said we will soon be past 5 million tests a day. On Wednesday, Trump said, me? 5 million? What? No, maybe somebody said it. I don't know what you're talking about. Certainly wasn't me. Take a look.
Some health experts say the U.S. needs 5 million tests per day by June in order to safely reopen. You unveiled a plan yesterday that will increase testing, but not by that much. Why not? And can you get to that benchmark?
Well, it will increase it, and it'll increase it by much more than that.
It will increase it, and it'll increase it by much more than that. Also later in the segment, Trump again saying that that's the case.
Testing, even though some people won't even want to use it.
I hear you saying you're confident you can surpass 5 million tests per day. Is that?
Oh, well, we're going to be there very soon.
We're going to be at 5 million tests very soon. Here's Trump on Wednesday saying, what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Mr. President, on testing, yesterday you said that we will very soon be testing 5 million people.
Well, I don't know where it
doing 5
came up.
million.
Yeah.
You said that.
I'd like to refer to these two people because I don't know where it came up. Everyone kept saying, you said there'd be 5. That was a study that came out. Somebody came out with a study of 5 million people. Do I think we will? I think we will, but I never said it. We're testing millions of people. We're testing more people than any country in the world by far, by double. By
Not
much
per
more
capita,
than
of course. So there it is, a very, very rapid change. Now, here's my question to you. Does Trump know he's lying, or has his brain turned to mush and he just doesn't remember? Because there are reports that Trump has no memory, that his memory is just totally gone and that he doesn't remember it. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know what to make of it. Okay, other super chats that are coming in here. Let's see here. Alexander the Snivy says, if in some alternate reality, would Donald Trump be less dangerous or more dangerous if he was smarter? I think Trump would be less dangerous if he were smarter. I think the ways in which he's dangerous now are already because of the areas where he has competence, how to propagandize, etc. I think him being like, if Trump understood science better, I think we'd be better off. I don't think that would make him less dangerous, more dangerous. Zachary Foster says best friend in medical school says vaccine could be at best ready by early September. That's also what I'm reading. The Oxford University vaccine seems to be the closest one. Will Spale says, have you heard about Captain Tom Moore in the UK? Over 30 million pounds raised for the NHS at 100 years old. I have not heard about that. Sounds very interesting, and I will check it out. Let me say thank you to Maber Dackle for subscribing with Twitch Prime and Hero Ranga for subscribing with Twitch Prime with the message Team Pacman. We do have a hype train happening on Twitch. Disregard that if you're not watching on Twitch. And remember that anybody with an Amazon Prime subscription can subscribe for free with Twitch Prime. I also want to say thanks to I'm Inconsolable for gifting 10 subscriptions over on Twitch. Townsend Koch says, will Trump be asked about his history of anti-vax statements and whether he'll encourage people to get the vaccine? Many of the protesters are anti-vax. I've been waiting for that. I would love it if Trump was asked about his previous anti-vax comments. That would be tremendous. Candido Moreno has grabbed a YouTube subscription. Ms. Smith says hello from the UK. Sensible Talk says, I'm here to learn about exciting new products for coronavirus customers. Yeah, I think we're going to hear a number of those products today. Mr. Catfish says, oh God, no, I can't take more of the ass-kissing, dribbling clown show that is Donald Trump's coronavirus update in the mental award. I think you mean mental ward. That might be a voice to text that went bad. Daniel Rivera says, thanks for the economic policy theory deep dive yesterday, David. More of that, please. Hope you're well. Yeah, you know, we have to balance our segments because yesterday I did a nearly 20-minute deep dive on fiscal and monetary policy. It got like 10,000 views on YouTube. And if every one of our videos got 10,000 views, we'd be out of business. So we always want to balance the types of things that we are doing. Alex Jones has thoughts on the Tara Reade accusations of Biden. 3 clips already up about that, 3 more publishing in the next 72 hours. So I don't know that we need more of that right now. Miss Stogan Maximus says, hi from Scotland. You are my main source of American news. Thought stuff was bad here. Feel better now. Yeah, if you're feeling bad about how your country's dealing with things, you can look to the U.S. and you'll feel better relatively quickly, as Donald Trump likes to say. Walter says, any updated information on the Republican Senate seats in jeopardy like Susan Collins? Yes, we did a full segment on it on Monday or Tuesday's bonus show. So grab a membership and check out that bonus show. Deep dive on it. Also clips last week or the week before about Susan Collins specifically. Okay, the real Ryan Patrick has subscribed with Twitch Prime. So has Useless Legs, as well as 420X Weed Bong who subscribes with the message Bong Pack Gang, and Summer Vibe has subscribed over on Twitch as well. Oh boy. Michael Blanco sends a super chat, says, hey, David, my unemployment claim was finally processed after 2 months, so I can afford super chat again. LOL. Good luck to anyone else waiting. We are standing by for the start of this event at the White House. Let me mention, we have one primary funding source for this program. It's memberships on my website, and they are dirt cheap, my friends. So if you are in a position, which I would consider a good position at this point, where you've not lost your job, and you can put a couple of bucks a month towards something that you presumably value. You might be here because you hate me, and maybe half of you or 3/4 are. But for the few people who are watching that actually like what I'm doing, consider grabbing a membership at joinpacman.com. We were down 389 paid memberships in March. We're down about 350 in April. It's the last day of April. It's very ugly, and we're all in this together. So if you're not in that horrible position where you've lost your job and you're down to your last dollar, I don't want anyone's last dollar. If you can support media that you find valuable, consider getting a membership at joinpacman.com. I will thank every person who does. I will do that right now with Christopher Kite. Christopher Kite is new member number 1 today at joinpacman.com. And Dave Baumeister is new member number 2 today at joinpacman.com. The coupon code above my head, 2020 now, saves you 66%. Okay, I almost got into a wrestling match with my staff today. They were saying the discount is too big. My lawyer called, said 66% off is illegal in the northern parts of Florida. As you know, the further north you go in Florida, the further south it gets, if you know what I'm talking about. But fortunately, most of our audience is not there. So this is a very legal and very cool discount code of 66%. That makes a monthly membership $2 a month. And if you pay for the year at once, it's only $1.80 a month, $1.80 a month. So very, very exciting. And I did lose the wrestling match, but we are still doing the coupon code. So I guess in a sense, I won, we could say. I was victorious in the end, I think is the way I would sort of put it. Okay, let's see what else folks are saying over on YouTube Super Chat. Remember, if you're watching on YouTube, press the like button, press the subscribe button. Always like and subscribe. Very, very important. Okay, whoa, hold on a second. 24 says, David, when can we expect a review and glowing recommendation of the opus known as Don't Burn This Book? Yeah, that's Dave Rubin's book. I've read enough reviews of it to know that it's not for me. I'm reading serious literature. I'm now reading Killers of the Flower Moon. I cannot recommend this book to you more highly. It is the story of suspicious deaths that were taking place in the 20s among the Osage, who are a Native American tribe. And the book chronicles the investigation into those deaths and the eventual connection to the start of the FBI. Very interesting book, beautifully written. And also another one I recently read called The Secret Life of Lobsters. Very interesting about the lobster industry, or industry, as our president says, as well as a lot of science about lobsters that I didn't know. If you want to see something wild, find a video online of a lobster molting its shell. It is wacky. It's like a lobster comes off, but then right below it, there's a lobster. It's crazy. But anyway, check that out. Very, very interesting. Okay, Walker Anderson says, check again. 0 of your last 200 videos are on Tara Reid. Trump has never been credibly accused of penetration. That's a false equivalence. Trump was accused of actual rape by at least one of his wives, if not also a 13-year-old girl. So you're wrong. And again, the Tara Reid situation has been discussed in 3 of my recent videos, 3 more coming over the weekend. Thank you. Emmett, nasty question here. What are your latest thoughts on Dave Rubin, if any? None. I don't know what he's doing. Oh. You know something very interesting. Let me just show you guys one interesting thing. Let me see here. YouTube. My attention was called to this the other day, and there's something weird with the Rubin YouTube channel that I am interested in hearing from people. Let me see where this is. Hold on a second. Detailed statistics. Let me see this. Weekly subscribers. Now I'm looking for total subscribers. I think, okay, yeah, this is it right here. This is a little weird. If you look at like the normal way that actually, you know what? I'm not even going to do it. Just let me put it this way. When I looked at the subscriber increases for Dave Rubin's channel, something about the pattern struck me as weird. Something about the pattern, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say more than that. Something about the pattern struck me as weird. I'm not going to really get into it in more detail, but that was pointed out to me the other day, and it was interesting. Let me put it that way. It was interesting, and I think it's worth looking into. Okay, Nasty Question says, am I right to be a little worried about Texas opening tomorrow? Yes. The case and death count in the DFW are definitely not on a downward trend. You are correct to be worried. You are very much correct to be worried. Charlie says, does the Trump presidency confirm simulation hypothesis? I wish it did. I wish it did, but sadly, I don't know that it actually does. Okay, let me say thank you to Martin Fillion, who has just upgraded his website membership at joinpacman.com, number 3 today. Nalini Johnson is new member number 4 at joinpacman.com. Joy Calfee is new member number 5 today at joinpacman.com. Morton Hartman Mickelson is new member number 6 today. I so appreciate that, Morton. Tyler Davidson has subscribed and is new member number 7. And Judy Patootie has subscribed and is new member number 8 today at joinpacman.com. Really appreciate it. We have a very modest goal of 25 new members, and everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. Coupon code is there. That saves you 66%. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Let me also thank, Do You Grok has subscribed with Prime. Aggie Arky has subscribed. GW Jumpman has cheered. Unifairy79, as well as Oody Doody or Uddle Duddle has subscribed. Oh boy. And I really appreciate that. Although I am visibly struggling with some of these usernames today, but I do appreciate the support very much. Inconsolable says, apparently things are getting even crazier in Michigan. Armed protesters allegedly attempting to storm the Capitol building. It is getting nuts in Michigan. It is getting nuts in Michigan. Erythropathac says, David, did you see Larry King dunk on Dave Rubin again? I did, and it was painful. Isn't Larry King 90? And he was just running circles. It was crazy. Incredibo TV says, thank you for everything you do, David. Thank you. Maindings says, what would your wrestling name be? I have no idea. Somebody gives me an algorithm for how to figure out your wrestling name. I'll try to figure it out. Dana Engelbrecht has signed up. Alex Jones says, I called into the show yesterday and you kicked that Anthony person off asking the question about Shaprio's comments on fascism and the political compass, why he seemed totally reasonable. He just wouldn't stop talking over me. It was impossible to have a conversation. So we wrapped the call. I believe that was also the person with the atrocious connection, right? I mean, maybe I'm mistaken. No thanks says, bless you, David. Love the show. Danny Thompson says, whether Trump's memory is shot or he's lying comes down to this. Does his incessant TV watching include watching his own videos from the prior day or not? Pac Maniac for life. Keep up the great work. Yvonne Chambers says, Donald Trump is the Tanya Harding of 2020. I have not heard that before. Candido Moreno says, do you think Biden is the lesser of two evils? Well, he's the better option. You know, call it what you want. He's unquestionably the better option. Truth Seeker has signed up. Madeline Welsh says, came for the political analysis, stayed for the description of lobster molting. The World of Lobsters is fascinating. I highly recommend that book I mentioned earlier. Let me say thank you to a few other people. I'm about to have some issues with pronunciation. Oh my God, there's a guy with a MAGA hat. Guy with a MAGA hat and a mask here. Dear God, expect the propaganda. I hope everybody's buckled in. Thank you to Arsh Chowan, who is new member number 9 today at joinpacman.com. Cindy Garcia. Cindy, thank you. You are new member number 11. Marla Enk is new member number 12 today. Thank you very much. Cheryl Walls is new member number 13. Nicola Gap is new member number 14 at joinpacman.com. Michael Lepkowski, you are new member number 15. Thank you. Matthew McMurrin is new member number 16. And I also want to thank Arturo Perez, who is new member number 17 today at joinpacman.com. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And remember, we are counting Patreon today as well. Everything counts. As you can see, it's 17 of 25 website members and patrons. If you prefer, you can go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show, and you will very strongly be included in my thank yous today. Okay, Mr. Catfish Jr. says, well, the DNC have buyer's remorse about Biden, and now he's turning into a Hillary Clinton-style election. And do you think they would put someone else in his place? I believe unless Joe Biden dies or falls into a coma, he will be on the ballot in November. Green Lover says, greetings from the UK. Love what you do, man. Peace at you all. I was just in the UK before this entire thing got going. Had a beautiful time in London. Took the Eurostar to Paris. There was a strike going on in France at the time. So a bunch of trains were delayed, and it was pretty hectic, but an amazing time. I stayed in the in the Harley Street area in London, I believe known for private surgery consultation clinics, doctors, whatever you would call it. Great area, loved it. Great cafes around there, and went to a great cafe called Caffeine with a K. Very, very clever. And not Harlot Street, Harley Street. And then France was just fantastic. I mean, I've been to Paris a few times, and it's one of my favorite places. It was delightful, delightful. Hope to get back when all of this is over. David Mello says, odds that today's conference will be more garbage than yesterday. I think there's a good chance today is more propagandistic than yesterday, for sure. Very much so. Kowalski from Nebraska says, if a debate between Biden and Trump were to happen and one had a stroke on stage, how would anyone be able to notice? All right. Gabriel Garcia says, have you looked into China's rising influence over European countries, Portugal, Greece, and Hungary? I'm familiar with it in the Hungarian context. I'm not familiar with the Portuguese and Greek context, but I will absolutely look into that. Let me say thank you over on Twitch to Jody Motionless, who has subscribed with Prime. Parkman voted for Tulsi, okay, has subscribed with Prime. Papa Smoke has subscribed and says, how time flies, 5 months already. Ered Mithrin says, thanks for everything, David, with their 4-month subscription. And Grenade Raven has subscribed with Prime as well, which is absolutely fantastic. If you're just joining us, we are about 20 minutes past the scheduled start for today. Today is, how is the White House describing it? President Trump delivers remarks on protecting America's seniors. From what I've read, Trump is expected to announce, in the context of protecting seniors, that they should stay home, but that he will not be extending the guidelines beyond today. Remember that Trump's 30 days to slow the spread after the 15 days to slow the spread end today. And there's been a question, is he going to extend those or not? From what I've been reading, Trump is not going to extend the guidelines, but is likely to say states have got it at this point. It's follow what your governors are now saying. And everything's great, of course, I would anticipate that he is going to say. A few other people that I want to say thank you to. Andrew Sleet has just subscribed on my website and is new member number 18. Steve Zeminski is new member number 19 today. Howard Ehrlich is new member number 20 at joinpacman.com. Also want to say thank you to James Slater, who is new member number 21. B.D. Moore is new member number 22 at joinpacman.com. And Morton Lilmos is new member number 23 today. We've had 2 people named Morton sign up for membership in the last 15 minutes. Isn't that remarkable? I know I mentioned on a recent stream that we have a ridiculous number of people named David who are paid members to the show. And I was thinking out loud, do you think that there's a unconscious bias where because my name is David, people named David are subconsciously more drawn to subscribe to this show than other shows? What do people think? Because from the numbers we have, I don't remember how many members named David we have. It's a crazy number. It seems more than mere chance. I would want to see the p-value on that, I guess is what I'm saying. Okay, let's see here. Other super chats coming in. Have I looked? Okay. Carl Smith says, what are your thoughts on balancing free media and controlling dangerous disinformation? Are these incompatible extremes? They are not. What we need is responsible platforming takes care of 99% of what you're talking about there. And I have a couple clips on my YouTube channel that I would encourage you to check out. Okay, Mandings36 says, what distraction or culture war do you think Trump will cook up and milk for the summer to take the focus away from the pandemic, if you had to speculate? The media has treated me so unfairly stuff, continuing to sort of foment protests in states and positioning himself as being on the side of freedom against governors will probably be, I mean, that's very culturally related because look at who's doing it. It's Tea Party types, right? So there's actually a huge cultural element to the Open America protests. Wouldn't be surprised to see Trump pull something related to Iran potentially. I think there's almost endless possibilities, quite frankly. MJ420 has subscribed on YouTube. Zelda Freak says, in Georgia, there has been an ice cream truck every week during the stay-at-home order. My faith in my neighbors not keeping their kids from grouping at the truck every week scares me. Can you imagine? Alex Jones says, are all calls uploaded to YouTube? If so, when? Most calls are uploaded to YouTube. The only time we might not upload one is if we get a situation where you really can't hear the person. If it's like a 30-second call where they get disconnected before there's any substantive discussion, we might not upload it. Otherwise, calls are uploaded to YouTube, and they're uploaded to YouTube on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We take all the live calls from the Friday show, and we put some up on Friday, some up on Saturday, some up on Sunday. Occasionally, if it's a very full weekend on YouTube, we'll hold one for Monday. But in that 3-day period, generally speaking. Per Tiren says many Per as well. Yeah, we have quite a few members named Per, interestingly, and I think most of them are from Sweden. Unknown Prodigy says people search for their name on YouTube. That's why. Okay. William Logan says, thanks for posting my quote of the day yesterday. Cheers. Dominic Richardson says, whenever Trump leaves office, will the Republicans run a standard guy like Jeb or Ted Cruz, or will they have to run another Trump type just to survive? I think it'll depend on it'll depend on 2 things. One, did Trump get reelected and then is he leaving? If Trump gets reelected, I would expect someone that is Trump-like in 2024. If Trump does not win in November, I would expect something not Trump-like in 2024. That's my guess. And of course, I know nothing and my predictions are worth 0. Let me say thank you to Kay Kitschy, who is new member or is a patron, and we are counting them as number 24 today. Marta Brewer is new member number 25 today. So let's go for 50 and see if we can do it. Jeremiah Grant is new member number 26 today at joinpacman.com. Seema Verma is here. And it looks like folks are sitting down. So I anticipate that this will start pretty soon. Pretty soon would be my guess. Another quick thank you to Beth Sintron, who's new member number 27 today. Couple of other super chats coming in as we stand by. Oh, Dr. Burks is in the room. Interesting. Danny Lawrence has subscribed. Martin Van Gorp says, please say again, I love Belgium. Keep up the good work, David, following you every day. I absolutely love Belgium. Belgium is one of the places I most enjoyed in Europe. Went to Brussels, went to Antwerp, went to Ghent, and went to Bruges. They were all fantastic. There's a really great restaurant in Brussels called Noordzee. There's also, I'm trying to remember, the French name is something du Nord. The Dutch name is Noordzee. And it's an outdoor sort of fish stand that also has lunch. Once things get reopened, go to Noordzee, order the fish stew, and probably the razor clams as well. Trust me, folks. Trust me. Okay, Erica East has signed up on YouTube. Thanks, Erica. Emmett says, David, if people named David are subbing to you above average rates, what else about yourself can you emphasize to get people to sub? I don't know. Maybe Jews should sign up at above average rates. I think that would be lovely. The Empress AR says the virus distracted Trump from his vendetta bent on getting even from the impeachment hoax. Do you think he'll be back on that? Maybe. Maybe. Alex Jones says, will the call about Shapiro be uploaded to YouTube? I don't even remember. Probably, yeah. Jose Bruna says, do you think Trump would do a wag the dog to win? Uh-oh, who's this? Oh, it looks like they're just putting Trump's speech up there. Okay. I would love it if we could get the C-SPAN feed. Let me see if C-SPAN is even carrying this nonsense. Because I find the C-SPAN feed to be a good one, so to speak. It doesn't seem that C-SPAN is carrying this, so we'll go back to the White House feed. And, of course, here is the Fox News feed. Let's see here. William Logan has... I don't know if Trump would be willing to do a wag the dog to win. I wouldn't put anything past Trump, to be perfectly frank. Remember that if you're just joining us, you do not need to adjust your television or your mobile phone or your computer. This simply hasn't started yet. They are once again running about a half hour late. The fact that they have this little desk here suggests to me there will be a propagandistic signing of something by Trump. We will see what it is. If you're watching on YouTube, please remember to hit like and subscribe. It sounds so insignificant. It really does. But it so helps us. We are now approaching 831,000 subscribers on YouTube. And every time someone hits like and subscribe, it just does wonders for us. It really does. Stormchild, William Logan and Stormchild Jewelry and Tarot Readings have subscribed. That's quite a mouthful. M says, armed protesters stormed Michigan Capitol building today, chanting, "Let us in," blocked from chambers by police line, politicians wearing body armor. That is insane. The White House stream still hasn't started, despite the fact that people are standing, presumably for Donald Trump. I would prefer to watch this over on the White House feed if possible. Trump followed very closely behind by someone. Okay, I guess here we are.
This afternoon, I'll sign a proclamation declaring the month of May to be Older Americans Month. I don't know if I'm in that category.
So he's not even on mic, folks. So we're going to go over here to the White House feed. This will be less toxic, and hopefully he's mic'd up, because you got to get a mic on the guy. You know, I know that what he's saying is BS, but you got to put a mic on the guy.
Well, thank you very much. Please.
There we go. No Fauci.
This afternoon, I'll sign a proclamation declaring the month of May to be Older Americans Month.
Okay, so that's what he's going to sign for propaganda, yeah.
I have a feeling I am, but I feel good. And our country is making a lot of progress, Alex. I won't tell you that. Making a lot of progress.
Yeah.
As we honor the incredible contributions of our nation's seniors, we're here today to discuss the unprecedented steps that we're taking to protect our seniors from the virus. I'll also announce vital new actions to safeguard our nursing homes and most vulnerable citizens as we gradually and safely reopen our country, and it's very exciting to see what's happening. We're joined today by Secretary Alex Azar. Thank you. Secretary Robert Wilkie. Robert, thank you very much. Administrator Seema Verma.
Oh, God.
Thank you. Great job.
She's terrible.
FEMA Administrator Pete Gaynor. And Chief of National Guard, Bureau General Joseph Lengal. Thanks also to Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, my friend. Thank you very much, Bill. Great job you're doing. It's great being with you, too. And many outstanding advocates for America's seniors who are here with us today. Thank you all very much. As we tragically have seen, the virus poses the greatest risk to older Americans. Together as one nation, we mourn for every precious life that has been lost. And there have been many. There have been many. We're so saddened by it. Through our aggressive actions and the devotion of our doctors and nurses, however, we have held our fatality rate far below hard-hit other countries such as Spain and Italy and United Kingdom and Sweden. We're way below other countries. We're deploying every tool, resource, and power at our disposal to protect our seniors and Americans of every age and background. Early on, we implemented life-saving travel restrictions and directed billions of dollars toward the development of therapies and vaccines, and that's moving along rapidly. We've moved at a speed that people are absolutely stunned to see.
Okay.
We've accelerated treatments, including remdesivir, which is reportedly showing encouraging preliminary results.
No mention of
That
hydroxy?
was a very big story yesterday. It was announced
Missing.
by
Gone.
Gilead. In early March, my administration advised all nursing homes to suspend all medically unnecessary visits to help slow the spread and to protect our seniors, and especially in our nursing homes. They are having a hard time in those nursing homes. We took action to step up enforcement of infectious disease standards at nursing homes all across America. We also acted swiftly to secure our veterans' healthcare facilities and deployed hundreds of VA staff to help out in nursing homes nationwide. And we're being helped very greatly by the passage of all of the things that we got passed, Robert, especially choice, so that people can go and see their doctor when they have to, and especially our seniors. We provided nearly $1 billion in grants to support home-delivered meals, in home care, and other services that make it impossible for older people to just do what they want to do. We're helping older people with disabilities, and we're helping them to live independently. We dramatically expanded access to telehealth, a very big deal. For Medicare beneficiaries, the number of Medicare patients using telehealth has increased from roughly 11,000 a week to more than 650,000 people a week. So that's from 11,000 a week to 650,000. That's almost an impossible number to believe, right? But it's really something. They get used to it, and a lot
Many
of that's
people
gonna
don't
be
believe it
staying
because
with
he
us
lies all
long
the time.
after this horrible scourge is gone.
Scourge.
Medicare is also paying for labs.
How has no one told him it's pronounced scourge?
When appropriate, at zero cost to patients. We've ensured a ventilator for every patient who needs one. Nobody who's needed a ventilator has been without a ventilator. It's an incredible achievement. And we now have thousands and thousands of ventilators, and other countries are asking us for help, and we're helping other countries, allies, and some that aren't necessarily allies.
Thanks, Fuba.
But they're in big trouble, and we're helping other countries now with ventilators. Same thing with masks. We have millions and millions of masks. That was something 4 weeks ago was difficult, and now we have millions of masks coming in and already here. The federal government is also funding over 35,000 members of the National Guard to help states deliver critical supplies to nursing homes and to assist with disinfecting and testing. I'd like
Even
to ask
inside the
General
body.
Lengal to please come up, say a few words about the work of the National Guard. It's been really fantastic. Thank you. General, please.
So again, just focusing on safe material for Trump. Look how far back
Thank you,
the
Mr.
press is,
President,
too.
and good
Wow.
afternoon, everyone. I'm very proud of the National Guard and all they are doing to help keep our nation safe here at home and abroad. Today, over 83,000 men and women of the National Guard are engaged at home and abroad, and 45,000 of those are engaged directly in the COVID-19 response. From running hundreds of testing sites around the country to screening passengers at airports to helping manufacture PPE to a myriad of other tasks, the National Guard is there. We know this virus doesn't treat everyone equally, and our senior citizens are at increased risk. In many states, governors have directed National Guard members to help sanitize long-term care facilities, nursing homes, giving older citizens and families and caregivers peace of mind that their environments are safe. The Georgia National Guard, for instance, has sanitized over 700 nursing homes, and this has been replicated at many places around the nation and continues to grow. Additionally, food banks and homeless shelters. In normal times, these are often staffed by our volunteers. Many of them are elderly senior citizens here in America. Now, volunteering puts those great Americans at increased risk. So the National Guard is helping these Americans stay clear of this risk. And doing that, the National Guard is staffing many food banks across the nation where the need for food assistance is increasing across the nation as this virus continues to persist. The National Guard is a big part of our United States Army and our United States Air Force, and we're proud of that. But this role that we play here at home, in the homeland, under the command of the governors in our states, is distinctly and uniquely National Guard business, and we're very proud of that. So, Mr. President, thank you. Thank you for the support that you give our military and the National Guard and all the men and women who serve. They are proud to serve our nation. Thank you for letting me talk about the Guard today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
That's great.
Great job.
4 stars, that's a lot of stars. Very impressive. That's right, but that's okay. That's very impressive. You deserve them. I do want to say, you mentioned the word governor, and we've had a lot of great success and relationship with the governors. We've dealt with our governors
Interesting
very
segue.
well. We have really, I think, got to understand each other, know each other, in many cases really like each other, and that's worked out very well. We had Phil Murphy here from New Jersey, governor of New Jersey today, wonderful man. A lot of progress is being made there, and we had John Bell Edwards yesterday from Louisiana, and Ron DeSantis the day before from Florida, with just tremendous
Incompetent
progress. 3 very exceptional men, and they're doing a really good job, as you know. So, and we have others coming in. They'll come in 1 or 2 a day, and we're seeing them, and whatever we can help them with, we help them with, and we help them with very, very quickly, General, right? So it's been very good. My administration is doing everything possible to support the state-led management of nursing homes, and here today is a governor who I happen to like a lot. And he's done a fantastic job in a fantastic state, a state that I happen to like a lot. It's called Tennessee.
Right. Oh, what a surprise.
For some reason, they like me. I haven't figured that out, but they like me in Tennessee, so that's good, Bill. Please come up.
Inferior
Governor
education in
Bill
Tennessee
Lee,
is
please.
what explains that, of course. State that it's a lot of struggles with healthcare and education, actually.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you to your team, many in this room that we have worked with. You are guiding America through a tremendous crisis, and you're doing it incredibly well, and America's very grateful for that. And we are grateful in Tennessee for the partnership between the federal government and states like ours. As we work to make our contribution to fighting COVID-19, we can do so because of the work that you're doing and the way that you're supporting what we're doing. So,
Right.
Mr. President, you've asked states to commit to a goal of testing 2% of their population. In April, 2% of Tennesseans were tested. And we have tested over 175,000 to date. But as we look to May, to build upon that, we're actually strengthening our commitment, particularly to the elderly, the most vulnerable of our citizens, especially those in nursing homes. There's a scripture describes being hard pressed on every side, but not crushed.
Horrible.
And that's where we are in Tennessee. I think that's where we are in a nation. But the elderly are most hard pressed in this setting, and especially those in long-term care facilities, and they need our help. So in Tennessee, we're committed to testing every resident and every staff in every one of our 700 long-term care facilities. It'll be a great undertaking, but it honors the value of these lives in those facilities, lives that have protected our country in the hardest of times, the greatest generation, and those that have a loving legacy of being our neighbors and our friends and our grandparents. And it's time for us to protect them.
Is this guy going to read some Psalms?
We should do so by pursuing social distancing, for example, in every way that we can with them. And the distance is sometimes a great gulf. I haven't hugged my own elderly mom in 8 weeks, but we're doing right by these citizens, and you're doing right by committing to these citizens to make certain that they that we do our personal part to make sure that they're safe, and while valuing our freedoms all at the same time. So while I think as a country we may be hard-pressed on many sides, we are not crushed, and we are grateful for your leadership and for this team's leadership, and particularly your commitment to the most vulnerable in our nation, and together we will get through this. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Bill.
Can you imagine?
Thank you very much, Bill. Great governor, by the way.
Horrible.
As we take steps to safely reopen our country, we must remain especially vigilant in sheltering the most vulnerable older Americans. To that end, today I have several important announcements.
Here we go.
First, in addition to all of the supplies we've already distributed, FEMA will send supplemental shipments. And I have to tell you, Pete, what a job you've done. Everybody was at the last call with the governor. So many of the governors said, I want to thank him for calling. He called on Easter morning, and he's calling them all the time. And you call them on Sundays, and you call them every time, all the time. And I tell you, they really appreciated it. They really do. You've done a fantastic job. Pete Gaynor, FEMA.
Okay.
But FEMA will send supplemental shipments of personal protective equipment to all
What about supplemental money
15,400
for people?
Medicaid and Medicare certified nursing homes in America, right, Pete? Second, CMS is providing states with $81 million from the CARES Act to increase their inspections of nursing homes at this very critical time. We have to do that. We have to do that. It's a spot. It's a spot that we have to take care of. I guess you could call it a little bit of a weak spot, because things are happening at the nursing homes, and we're not happy about that. We don't want it to happen, so we're checking that out very carefully and very methodically. Third, this week we'll be finalizing a new rule requiring information about coronavirus cases in nursing homes to be reported directly to CDC, and testing data to be posted online so everyone gets to see it. This rule also requires nursing homes to report cases to residents and their family members. And finally, to ensure that our nursing homes are prepared for any future outbreaks, we're announcing the Coronavirus Commission for Safety and Quality in Nursing Homes. This commission will be composed of leading industry experts, doctors and scientists, resident and patient
Really
advocates,
low energy.
family members, infection and prevention control specialists, and state and local authorities. It's a big deal. The commission will convene in May and issue recommendations for further steps we can take to protect our nation's seniors. My administration will never waver in its relentless commitment to America's seniors. We owe them a sacred and unbreakable obligation, and we will fulfill that obligation with every resource and power that we have. We are working very hard with our seniors, and we're working very hard with our nursing homes, and great progress is being made and will be made, that I can promise you. That's also why we are strongly protecting Medicare and Social Security. We will protect your Social Security. We will.
His budget would have cut those things. Fortunately, that budget didn't have a chance, but that's what he submitted.
As American citizens, and that goes even beyond seniors. We're protecting this country. Our cherished seniors enrich every aspect of our national life. These great citizens have dedicated their entire lives to our families and our communities and our countries. Our country could not be anything near where it is without our incredible seniors. We'll show them the same love and loyalty they've shown us, and they've shown our nation every day of their lives. No effort will be spared to give America's seniors the care, and support and devotion and love they have earned and that they deserve. In a few moments, I'll sign a proclamation designing a very special, we've designed a very special plan, and it's going to designate Older American Month. So this is Older Americans Month. But first, I'd like to ask Secretary Azar, Secretary Wilkie, Administrator Vermer, Administrator Gaynor to share what their department and agencies are doing to help our nation's seniors.
You're going to have all
come
four
on
of
up
them
and
speak.
maybe you could say a few words, and you've made a lot of progress. Come, Alex, why don't you start? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership during this pandemic and for the work you've done.
This is the guy who early in this crisis hired a dog breeder to run the day-to-day of coronavirus response for HHS. A guy, I mean, okay, they were Labradoodles. It's a beautiful dog, but still, you know, it's like a former dog breeder he hired.
To keep older Americans healthy and safe. In addition to our public health and healthcare efforts, President Trump has secured historic investments in programs that support older Americans and help them live independently. Over the past month, HHS has dispersed more than $1 billion in grants to aging and disability networks, which are state and local agencies like a Council on Aging that provide services for seniors living in the community. This is more than a 40% increase in the annual support that we provide to these critical organizations. Services that we support, they include delivered meals like my grandmother used to get from Meals on Wheels, help with trips to the grocery store or the doctor, and assistance with chores in the home. Back in March, we put out $250 million in grants specifically for meals, including through Meals on Wheels. We've been pleased to see communities get creative with these funds. Some states are ensuring not only that the meals are getting to seniors, but that the meals are coming from local restaurants whose businesses are struggling. It's not just about meals and services. We also recognize that older Americans may be facing mental health challenges and feeling isolated. Florida's Aging Network, for instance, is combating social isolation by providing electronic tablets to nursing home residents to help them communicate with loved ones. We're also working to protect the rights of older Americans in accessing health care. Our Office for Civil Rights has been taking action to ensure that states and healthcare providers do not discriminate on the basis of disability or age in the allocation of medical care. We've already had 2 states remove such discriminatory policies from their triaging guidelines as a result of our Office for Civil Rights work.
Trump's board and this guy's
Finally, as
horrible.
the President and others mentioned, we've worked closely with states to ensure that they can test especially vulnerable populations like those living in nursing homes and those who care for them. This work to protect seniors and empower them will continue throughout the pandemic as we reopen our country and keep America's seniors as healthy and as independent as possible. Thank you all for what you do in this effort. Thank you, Mr. President.
I'd love to get to some questions, given that the full press is there, but they've been squeezed to the back of the room. See, they're all along the very far back.
Mr. President, thank you, and thank you for everything you have done to transform the Department of Veterans Affairs on behalf of the nation's 9.5 million veterans. 75 years ago, the men of the 28th Marine Regiment raised the American flag on Mount Suribachi. No event better evoked the sacrifices and the triumphs of the 15 million Americans who put on the uniform during World War II. A few years after Iwo Jima, the soldiers of the United States 8th Army defended the Pusan perimeter, and Marines fought through and out of the Chosin Reservoir. Veterans of those terrible times are still with us
today. If you're
today.
wondering why this is going on, it's because the alternative is Trump wondering about hitting the body with heat and light and injecting disinfectant. So that instead they have this.
Those precious Americans. The Department of Veterans Affairs has 134 nursing homes, but more than half of the residents in those nursing homes fought in wars with battles with names like Guadalcanal and the Bulge and Inchon. Of the 78,000 residents in our nursing homes, we have tested all of them.
Trump thinks the Battle of the Bulge is trying to stay off of those taco salads from Trump Tower that he likes.
Our infection rate is low. Many of our homes have few, if any, positive cases. But still, as the President noted, we had to make a very tough decision early on. After all of these veterans had gone through so much on the battlefield, we had to tell them at this stage in their lives that we were depriving them of the sustenance of their families and friends because we had to protect their lives. Because of the President's directions to me, we have been able to contain the virus in our nursing homes. And now we are taking those lessons that
certainly
we've
containing
learned from
it in
VA
the nursing homes, and it's
across
spreading
the country
wildly within them.
to protect patients across America. We are the federal experts in gerontology. We are helping 38 states and territories handle the surge of patients dealing with this virus with our partners, our great partners at FEMA, and even by direct action through the governors. Aiding America's elderly is central to all of our efforts. We deployed VA staff, as the President noted, to veterans' nursing homes owned and operated by the individual states. Early on, Governors Charlie Baker and Phil Murphy moved to protect their veterans, and they asked us for help. In addition
Charlie
to
Baker's our governor here in Massachusetts. At one point a few days ago, half of our deaths were nursing homes and long-term care facilities. Half.
Oklahoma, Rhode Island, and Texas, we have taken in non-veteran nursing home patients and state veterans nursing home patients into our VA facilities. We are helping elderly Americans wherever we find them. Mr. President, you should be very proud of this VA that you have helped build. Thousands of VA employees have leapt into harm's way. VA leaders like Joan McInerney and Martina Parada in your hometown, Ryan Little in Boston, Rima Nelson in Detroit, Vicki Braun in Illinois and Wisconsin, Fernando Rivera and Sky McDougal in New Orleans, and Miguel Lapuz in Florida. All of them have put service before self to protect the most vulnerable and deserving. These are the folks who made America strong and free. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, God.
And thank you for your commitment to the nation's seniors and to the Medicare program. You've been very clear with me since day one that you wanted to protect and strengthen the Medicare program. And under your leadership, our Medicare Advantage program is seeing premiums at a 13-year low, and in our Part D program, it's a 7-year low. But today I want to focus on nursing homes. In the scheme of life decisions, placing a loved one in a nursing home has to be one of the most difficult decisions. And when you make that decision, you want to know that you can stay connected with your loved one and that they're going to be safe and have the best quality of life. And that's why the decision to restrict visitation in nursing homes was a heartbreaking decision. And our thoughts and prayers are with the families and the patients during this very uncertain time. But the tragic reality is that the coronavirus seemed almost tailor-made to put major pressure on nursing homes. And countries across the world have struggled with their nursing home populations.
You know, Trump's sitting there thinking, how am I losing to Biden in every frickin' poll right now?
Lives. And even before the coronavirus, we have been working on a strategy to improve quality in nursing homes. The strategy focused on quality, oversight, enforcement, and transparency for patients and their families so they understand exactly what's going on in nursing homes, about the conditions there, and reducing regulatory burdens so that nursing home providers can focus on providing care to their patients instead of paperwork. We've overhauled the entire survey system and implemented a common tool across the entire nation to ensure that our inspectors were being consistent, objective, and that's actually resulted in an increase in the number of fines. And we've updated our websites so that patients and their families have the latest information on the quality in a nursing home and making it very clear when nursing homes have had significant cases of abuse and neglect. And those improvements that we've made made it possible when the coronavirus hit.
Notice how some of these things are related to coronavirus. Some of them are completely unrelated, but this is the strategy. I hope people don't mind not hearing Seema Verma. I think we'll be okay. After the bleach injection fiasco and Trump being laughed at globally, they decided we're going to push an economic message. And that's what they've been doing all week. Monday, Tuesday, it's been all economic messages. And yeah, he ends up having to take some questions. And yeah, he steps in it when the question's about something medically related. But this is not, as bad as this is, it's not doing damage, at least. And some networks aren't even taking it at all.
February, we issued a series of 9 guidance documents specific to coronavirus and controlling infections in nursing homes. And just for some perspective, normally these types of guidance documents can take months, sometimes years.
Like, think about it. The strategy is stay out of the news in the sense of there's really no meat here. It's like, okay, it was reported today that the Trump administration, working with Seema Verma, has created documents to give to nursing homes. Oh, okay. I mean, like, it'll be reported in some mild way, but there's really, there's no, when there's big news from these, it's very bad, very, very bad, or just announcements about extending guidelines.
Inspect nursing homes. And our guidance has called upon state and local leaders to support nursing homes in their efforts to control the coronavirus outbreaks. And I commend Governor Lee and governors across the nation that have implemented our guidance, whether it's cleaning their facilities, testing, and creating new COVID facilities. And that helps isolate patients that are sick and keeps other patients safe. And this work has been critical to keeping nursing home residents safe. And I'm pleased to announce that we are putting out new state grants to support state and local efforts to nursing homes. The president has been an advocate of this. He has asked for increased funding to inspect nursing homes every year in his budget, but this is the first time that Congress has provided this funding. And the money couldn't come at a more critical time when it'll be important to work with our state partners to ensure safety in our nursing homes. But the president has directed us to do more, and so as part of our Opening Up America efforts, we are going to oversee the Coronavirus Commission for Safety and Quality in Nursing Homes. And the commission will comprehensively assess the response. It will identify best practices and also provide recommendations for how we go forward to protect our nursing home residents and make sure
And where are the tests exactly?
Of life. And in closing, I want to speak directly to our nursing home residents, their caretakers, and their families. Your pain is our pain, and we are doing everything we can to support you. And to the healthcare workers on the front lines providing care and comfort to our nursing home residents, we thank you. And thank you, Mr. President, for your consistent leadership and unwavering support for our elderly citizens.
Imagine that.
You want to tell them that we're going to have some big news very soon on insulin?
That's right.
It's a big deal.
We're doing everything we can to lower the price of insulin for our seniors, and we'll have some great announcements coming up very soon to lower the price.
Some big news. Great news. Good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President, Administrator Verma, and members of the Coronavirus Task Force. Let me focus on the logistics in our effort to deliver personal protective equipment care packages to those citizens.
I believe this is a Rhode Island accent. For people who say it sounds Boston, I believe this is Rhode Island.
Across the country. Thanks to the leadership of the President and the tremendous support of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, FEMA will deliver care packages containing 4 items of PPE to more than 15,000 Medicare, Medicaid certified nursing homes nationwide, to include the District of Columbia, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, and Guam. Given the lack of availability of PPE necessary for healthcare workers providing support for nursing homes, we will provide a package or a kit containing a 7-day supply of eye protection, masks, gowns, and gloves to these 15+ nursing homes. Each kit is individualized for each nursing home based on the level of staffing and the 7 days of our supply calculation. Over the course of the next 60 days, we're providing each of the nursing homes with 2 separate shipments of 7 days of supplies, totaling 14 days of supplies by the beginning of July. The first shipment of supplies begins next week. These initial shipments will focus on metropolitan area sites such as New York City, Northern New Jersey, Boston, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. The second shipment of supplies begins in early June. The goal is to have all supplies delivered no later than July 4th. Assisting us in this endeavor is Federal Resources, a small business based out of Stevensville, Maryland, who specializes in chem bio equipment support with focusing on kitting solutions for the Department of Defense. They will help us distribute the following PPE items: 608,000 pieces of eye protection, 6.9 million surgical masks, 6.4 million gowns, 31.4 million pairs of gloves. And finally, I would again like to extend my gratitude to the President for his leadership on this project, as well as to thank my fellow members of the White House Coronavirus Task Force and their continued partnership. Together, we have turned a critical demand for PPE for our seniors and frontline healthcare workers into reality. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pete. Great job. Thank you. Okay, thank you all very much. I think we'll sign. If you'd like to come up, come on up. Come on up.
So now a little propaganda sign session will be taking place. And nobody really wants to get close to Trump. Trump having to call people up, of course. And it's all got to be just right. Man, the propaganda is just thick. Alex Azar almost just knocked over the flag. People standing nice and close. Wow, can you imagine? Why are they doing this now? It's called propaganda. Oh, Burks has popped up there. Oh, is that Kellyanne? Dear God. Should he even be touching that? And there's Trump showing it with his big doofy signature. Somebody please make some... Okay, take this, make some funny memes of what is written on the paper when Trump holds it up and send them to me. We will use them on social media. Trump handing out pens now. Some of these people are like, what do I have to do with this? Kellyanne, for example. Like, what on earth does she have to do with the signature of this? Burks, okay. No social distancing, no mask.
Well, thank you very much. And if you'd like to have some questions maybe on this, and we might venture into different territory also, I think. John, please. I guess. Not a wise one, but it's
if we could venture straight into other territory. The Vice President said just a short time ago he believes that General Michael Flynn may have unintentionally lied to him or misspoken when he talked to him and did not include his meeting with the Russian ambassador to the United States.
Yeah.
Do you believe that General Flynn may have unintentionally misled the Vice President?
Well, I really have to talk to the Vice President, but I'll tell you what, General Flynn was under enormous pressure, and it was an artificial pressure, because what they did to General Flynn was a disgrace. Well, it was a total disgrace. It's shocking.
So what they did was interrogators prepared to interrogate him, and they claim to have these smoking gun documents where interrogators wrote what they were hoping to get from an interrogation. Talk to any interrogator, this is what they do. They make a plan, they look before. This is now the new, this may actually be the distraction, that Flynn was railroaded.
Citizen of this country. Yes, please.
You said that Michael Flynn would come back even bigger and better. So are you going to pardon him? And if so, are you considering to bring him back into your administration?
Well, it looks to me like Michael Flynn would be exonerated based on everything I see.
Lie.
Not the judge, but I have a different type of power. But I don't know that anybody would have to use that power. I think he's exonerated everything. I've never seen anything like it. What they did, what they wrote. You see this, General. You wouldn't want this happening to you, what they did to General Flynn. And it's just disgraceful. So, you know, I guess we'll get to that maybe someday or maybe not. Hopefully we won't have to get there.
Would you consider bringing him back into your administration?
Well, I think he's a fine man. I think it's terrible what they did to him. It's something that nobody's asked me, but you're asking me for the first time. I would certainly consider it, yeah.
He would consider bringing back a
I think he's a
felon.
fine man. I think he's got a great family. He loves his son. I will tell you, his son was around a lot, and he loves his son.
His son is arguably implicated.
Generally do. And they did everything possible to destroy him. and he's still breathing very strongly. But
Flynn's worst mistake was agreeing to work for Trump, and then everything was downhill from there.
Quick follow, in what capacity, I do have a coronavirus-related question, but in what capacity would you bring him back?
Well, we'd look. I mean, I'm not even, this is really the first time I've been asked the question, but I think he'll be fully exonerated one way or the other. And so certainly he'd be capable of coming back. He suffered greatly.
Ask you about comments by your son-in-law. One of your top advisors, Jared Kushner, yesterday said that the government's response has been a, quote, great success story. Is that the right
Could you
tone?
lift that up a little bit?
Yes, no problem. Your son-in-law, one of your top advisors,
Yes,
Jared
yeah.
Kushner, yesterday said the government's response has been a, quote, great success story. Is that the right tone and message
Well, it's
at
just
a
he's
moment
saying the
when
facts.
people
I
are
mean,
still
he's not
dying?
talking about other things that I talk about in my speech today that I speak about all the time, and that's death. It's horrible that what this country's gone through and what the world has gone through, frankly. This is something could have been contained at the original location, and I
Kushner
think
is
it could have
sinister.
been contained relatively easily. China's a very sophisticated country, and they could have contained it. They were either unable to or they chose not to, and the world has suffered greatly. But what Jared was talking about, and what I talk about a lot, is no, I don't think anybody's done the job that we've done, other than at public relations, because the press just won't talk about the facts. We had a ventilator problem that was caused by the fact that we weren't left ventilators by a previous administration. The cupboards were bare, as I say.
Oh my God, I
often.
literally said it at the same time. That was
Not
crazy.
only are the cupboards full now, we have ventilators. We're the king in the world of ventilators. We have thousands and thousands of them now being delivered.
Someone
You were
clipped that. That was
at the news
simultaneous.
conferences over the last
Hysteria.
few days. The governors they said we've never had a case where we couldn't get a ventilator. And at a month and a half
Clip
ago,
it and email me,
people,
please.
you were screaming ventilator, ventilator. I'm just looking at the test numbers. We have more tests. We have given more tests and the high quality tests than every other country combined.
Not
And
per
I say
capita.
it. The friend of mine, South Korea President Moon, called me. You know, they talk about South Korea, and they've done a really good job. But he said, "What a job you've done." This is a much bigger country, you understand. He said,
That's
"What
right,
a
per
job
capita.
you've done on testing." So the testing and the masks and all of the things, we've solved every problem. We solved it quickly. But to think that now we're giving thousands of ventilators to other countries, allies and other than allies, to be honest, but we're helping other countries where people are dying because we have ventilators and nobody else does to this extent. And it's a great tribute. I mean, Deborah, we were talking about that before. Deborah Birx, Dr. Birx, has been fantastic. She's a fantastic person, a fantastic woman. And we talk about the things that we've done in a short period of time. I mean, all you heard about was ventilators. That's a hard thing. We energized factories that didn't build ventilators. They were building cars and other things, and now we're building thousands a week. And it's been very spectacular. It's been really spectacular. So, yeah, I think, I don't think anybody's done a better job with testing, with ventilators, with all of the things that we've done. And our death totals, our numbers per million people are really very, very strong. We're very proud of the job we've done.
Yeah.
We had very little to work with because the previous administration left us very little.
Quick
Please
follow,
go
Mr.
ahead.
President.
Mr. President.
Go ahead. Why don't you go and then you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. You signed that executive order this morning dealing with the counter-narcotics operations that you have going on in the Western Hemisphere right now. Why the need for more manpower? And do you think your government is any closer to the goal of having Nicolas Maduro leave office?
Well, I need it, and I sign it, and we do have executive orders, and they help us a lot, and they've helped us a very lot here.
A very lot.
We also sign things having to do with production, as you know. I've used that very, very powerfully, the act. And oftentimes I didn't have to use it. I just had to talk about it. No, I'm only signing when we want something, when we need additional manpower or brain power or whatever it is we're looking for at the time. But we've done things that I don't think anybody else has been able to do what we've done. And this is a
Genius.
big country, too. This is
Yeah.
a very big country, as you know.
We have a large
And I'm
country,
very
yep.
proud of the country. I'm very proud of the way they've stepped up. Now, things are opening. As an example, Governor Lee is doing a great job in opening up Tennessee, and he's opening it up rapidly and safely. I think he said to me 2 words I think about: safe and rapid. And I think SAFE was the first one you mentioned, in all fairness, but it was safe and rapid. He's doing it quickly and safely, and Tennessee's a great story. But we have other governors, friends of both of ours, that are doing really a good job. I will say this, Governor Murphy and Governor Cuomo have a tougher situation because that's really a hotbed. It's a very, very dense area. People don't realize.
Remember, the question was about the deployment of resources in the Western Hemisphere related to drugs. Or I mean, there's like what I don't even remember the question, but it wasn't anything like this.
Likewise, is working very, very hard and speaking to me all the time. And whenever we can help him, we do. And we're helping him, and he's helping his state. That's what he has to do. Thank you.
How is the operation going, though? And do you feel, my second question was, do you feel you're any closer to having Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela?
I think the operation is doing really well. I think that things are being discovered that you wouldn't have thought possible. The Abbott machine, Abbott Laboratories, a great scientific
The question was
company.
about the operation in the Caribbean, wasn't it?
Months ago, nobody ever heard of this machine. And all of a sudden, boom, the people come into my office, they get tested. It takes them 5 minutes, and they feel very good. Some of them have never been tested. But these are, equipment and tests that nobody ever thought even possible 3 or 4 months ago are being used commonly now. I looked at the numbers, and we're over 6 million tests. And you add up everybody together, they don't have anywhere near that. So it's an incredible thing. And it would be great if the media could really portray it the way it is, because we've done some
this has nothing to do with the question.
unbelievable work. And when somebody uses the word successful, I mean, it really has been successful. It's been very successful. But if you look at mortality and mortality rates, this country, it's a very sad thing to be talking about. Whoever thought you'd be talking about such a thing 2 months ago was impossible. All we talked about was the economy, how well it was going. But today we have to talk about that. Our country has really stepped up. Our generals have stepped up, and our admirals have stepped up. By the way,
the bowling ball has got the 3 holes in it, and my hands are so small I can't, really use the holes. So instead, I just pick it up with 2 hands. Like anything would be as related as this.
Okay, who's next?
Mr. President, you have said that China is doing everything it can to make sure you don't get reelected. What specifically are they doing?
Well, China doesn't want to see me elected, and the reason is that we're getting billions and billions of dollars, many billions of dollars a month from China.
Question
China
is, what
never
are they
gave our
doing?
country anything. China gave us nothing, not 10 cents. And whether it was Biden in charge of China, which was a joke because they ripped off our country for 8 years. And in all fairness to Biden and Obama, this went on long before they got into office. I mean, you can go through many administrations until I came along. And then we signed a trade deal where they're supposed to buy, and they've been buying a lot, actually.
Question is, what are they doing to prevent his reelection?
To what took place with the virus. The virus situation is just not acceptable.
Do you think that withholding information about the virus is related to them trying to undermine your reelection?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to put any cast any dispersions. I just will tell you that China would like to see Sleepy Joe Biden. They would take this country for a ride like you've never seen before.
And please send
Mr. President.
Oh my God.
Mr. President.
Mr. President. Mr. President. Yes.
Yeah, please.
Right. With the unemployment numbers coming out today, 30 million now unemployed. Have you given any thought to possibly extending the $600 extra in unemployment benefits that are given out now? They will run out, and that will run out in July.
They are looking at it, and they're taking a very strong look, and we'll be reporting to you very shortly. I will say this. Obviously, this is what it is. It's this period of time. But I think I view the third quarter as a transition quarter. And I think you're going to have a very strong transition. And then I think the fourth quarter is going to be incredibly successful. I think next year we're going to have a phenomenal year economically.
Mr. President.
You keep referring to China, but do you hold President Xi Jinping responsible for misinformation?
Well, I don't want to say that. But certainly it could have been stopped. It came out of China. And it could have been stopped, and I wish they stopped it, and so does the whole world wish they stopped it. John?
Mr. President, on unemployment, there are many businesses who are concerned that as America opens back up again, because of a provision in the CARES Act that gives an additional $600, they won't be able to get their employees back because they'll make more money staying at home than they would if they came back to work, which has caused some governors to suggest that they might strip those people of their unemployment insurance if they refuse to go back to work. Is that something you would support?
Well, we're looking at a lot of different things. I brought this up before it was done. This was a Democrat point, and I said, you know, some people are going to be treated unfairly, and some people will be treated, you know, they didn't get into the kind of formulas the way I saw it. I said exactly that this was going to happen, but when you think about it, it's basically we're being generous with people that it's short term, and we're being very generous with people that lost their jobs or potentially would lose their jobs. So it's not the biggest problem that I've ever heard of. They're getting a little bit more money. In some cases, they're getting more money than they thought they would have gotten. A lot of employees are saying now the job is more important because the employer is not going to forget that. But it was something that I brought up at the beginning, and nobody wanted to listen. Yeah, please.
Follow up regarding Joe Biden. Your campaign and surrogates going after him pretty hard with regard to these allegations from Tara Reid. What do you say to Joe Biden?
I don't think so. I don't think they're going after him hard with regard to Tara Reid.
Allegations, and what do you say to Joe Biden?
I don't know anything about it. I don't know exactly. I think he should respond. You know, it could be false accusations. I know all about false accusations. I've been falsely charged numerous times.
This is when someone should mention the 46 allegations against Trump.
If you look at Brett Kavanaugh, this is an outstanding man. He was falsely charged. What happened with him was an absolute disgrace to our country. And I guess 3 of the 4 women have now admitted that. And of the 4th, give me a break. I mean, take a look. 36 years. That is, look, this is a fine man. I saw a man suffering so unfairly.
Remember, the question was about Biden, not Kavanaugh.
But I don't know. I can't speak for Biden. I can only say that I think he should respond. I think he should answer them.
Another question on Biden,
Yeah,
Mr. President. Another question on Biden.
Thank you, sir. On China, a moment ago you said that China, it's possible they could have chosen not to stop the spread of the virus. Are you insinuating they intentionally let it spread?
Well, they could have done it, and I'm just saying, well, one of 2 things happened. They either didn't do it, and you know they couldn't do it from a competence standpoint, or they let it spread. And I would say probably it got out of control. But you know, there's another case that how come they stopped all the planes and all of the traffic from going into China, but they didn't stop the planes and the traffic from coming into the United States and from coming into all over Europe. I mean, look at Italy. Look what happened to Italy. And it's very lucky. This country is very lucky, and I'm very lucky that I put the ban on China. As you know, very early on in January, we put the ban on in China, and that was a very early day. That wasn't a late day. That was an early day. Then we later put the ban on in Europe. And if we didn't do that, as Alex knows, we would have had a problem like you wouldn't have believed. We would have had a problem much bigger. But then you take a look at what happened to Italy. A lot of those people went to Italy instead. And it's been a very, very tough place, Italy.
And then on holding them accountable, is that something you prefer to do now in the next few weeks?
No, I don't want to do that. I want to find out what happened. I think we'll be able to get a very good, very powerful definition of exactly what happened. We're working on it strongly now, and I think it's going to be very powerful. But they could have stopped it. They are a very brilliant nation, scientifically and otherwise. It got loose, let's say, and they could have capped it. They could have stopped it, but they didn't. But they stopped planes from going to China, but they didn't stop them from going to the rest of the world. What was that all about, Jim?
Just to help us out on this, to follow up on Jordan's question, you praised China in the past, so what's changed? When you tweeted, China's been working very hard to contain the coronavirus. The U.S. greatly appreciates their efforts and transparency. It will all work out well. What has changed between then, when you were saying those things about China, and now?
Well, what's changed is the following. We did a trade deal, and everybody was very happy. There's nobody ever been tough on China like I've been tough on
Jim
China.
Acosta's question is, what changed in your perspective on the virus? The trade deal is not part of this.
Different things, but one of the things I'd say is how China and other countries are ripping us off. So recently we signed a trade deal with China a number of months ago. China's buying billions of dollars worth of our product, our farm product and other product, manufacturing product, and it's been a great deal. But then we noticed a virus, and it's not acceptable what happened. It came out of China, and it's not acceptable what happened. And now what we're doing, Jim, is we're finding out how it came out. Different forms. You know, you've heard all different things. You've heard 3 or 4 different concepts as to how it came out. We should have the answer to that in the not-too-distant future, and that will determine a lot how I feel about China. But when I was, of course, I was very rough with China. I mean, Biden, as an example, the previous administration, they let China rip off this country like nobody's ever ripped off this country.
The question was on the virus. Why did you so dramatically change your tune on China? That's all the question is.
Made it into a great deal for our country. But after that, all of a sudden we heard there's a virus and a virus is coming in. That changes my mind very greatly. That's a whole different thing. So you can have good trade deals. That was earlier on, the trade deal. I made the trade deal earlier on. And it's a great deal. We're taking in billions and billions of dollars.
That's not how tariffs work.
Money in different forms, including the fact that we have a 25% tariff on $250 billion.
Our businesses pay the
It's a tremendous amount of money. Some of that money I've given to the farmers because they were targeted by China.
Yeah. He doesn't get
I
it
gave
still.
$12 billion. I gave $16 billion. And this year we're going to be giving approximately $19 billion to the farmers. But well, something happened. Something happened. I don't say misleading or not. I'll let you know that. I mean, I'll be able to give you that answer at some point in the hopefully not too distant future. But I will tell you, you take a look at what happened to this world. A month and a half, 2 months ago, we had the strongest economy in the history of the world, and all of a sudden I have to close the economy. I have to close the country.
He never did that, by the way.
We've had tremendous death and tremendous sorrow and sadness, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. And so have most of the countries of the world. Think of that, most of the countries. 184, you tell me, it's probably low right now, because I've been saying 184, 184 countries. They've suffered tremendously. It's something that is going to have to be dealt with.
Mr. President, on the issue of loss, Vice President, on the issue of loss, Vice President Biden has said you should lower the White House flag to half-mast. Are you going to do that? And are you thinking about leading the nation in a moment of mourning?
Said that. I mean, I would not mind doing that. I would say not only the White House flag, we could do that. In fact, it's something that I will be talking about later on. We have a meeting on
someone gave him an idea
various
and he's
things.
like, hey,
That's
that'll
one of
make
the
me seem
topics,
patriotic.
and we're going to bring that up. So I think lowering the flags would be something very appropriate.
Thinking about leading the country, though, in a moment of mourning for all of the lives lost, the more than 60,000 people.
Of course I am.
Sure, let's do it
I
right
don't
now.
think anybody can feel any worse than I do about all of the death and destruction that's so needless. Nobody. But I also have to make sure that we handle the situation well. Nobody's thinking about it more. Nobody has spent more time late in the evening thinking about what's happened to this country in a short period of time. But at the same time, we have to get our country open again. And we're doing that step by step. Tennessee is an example. Step by step, we're opening up our country. And I really believe that next year we can be maybe even beyond. We have a lot of stimulus, and maybe even beyond. We'll see about, by the way, Package 4, Phase 4. But I really hope that we can be as good or better. I built it once, and we're going to build it again. John, go ahead.
You said a moment ago you will soon have information on where this virus originated. The Director of National Intelligence today put out a statement saying that they believe it was naturally occurring, it was not man-made. But
who is that? Who is that said that?
The Office of the Director of National
Yeah, but
Intelligence.
who in particular? Who was the man that made that statement?
It was a statement that the ODNI...
Oh, he would know that, huh? National Intelligence. So we'll see.
That would be your Director of National Intelligence.
No, I think it's, I mean, you'd have to tell me who specifically, who made the statement.
The statement was just put out under the Office of the ODNI.
Okay, we'll see. I mean, I have to see the statement. I just haven't seen it.
But the question I had was, have you seen anything at this point?
Because we're looking at that, John, separately from...
Correct. But
we're looking at exactly where it came from, who it came from, how it happened, separately and also scientifically. So we're going to be able to find it.
And my question is, have you seen anything at this point that gives you a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the origin of this virus?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Wow.
And I think that the World
That's going to make
Health
headlines.
Organization should be ashamed of themselves.
Oh, boy.
Because they're like the public relations agency for China.
China.
And this country pays them almost $500 million a year.
Here we go.
And China pays them $38 million a year. And
Understand that the President of the United States claims to have seen convincing evidence that the coronavirus came from a lab in Wuhan, okay?
causing hundreds of thousands of people around the world to die. I think the World Health Organization should be ashamed of themselves.
Tuesday, you suggested withholding federal aid from jurisdictions that are sanctuary cities. How serious is that consideration? Are you just?
Well, I have the right to do that, but sanctuary cities, especially at a time like this, that's a very dangerous thing. Our law enforcement hates it. They hate it. We want safe cities. We want sanctuary, but we want sanctuary for our citizens. And we don't want sanctuary for criminals that came into our country illegally, and they have big records and records. I won't go into the type of crimes, but the crimes are the ultimate in evil in many cases. No, we don't want them to have sanctuary in our country. We want to have strong borders. Look, I say it again, we want to have strong borders. I've been saying this for a long time, and I think people are agreeing with me. I really do. I think people are agreeing with me. The Democrats want to have open borders where people just come in. And you're not only talking about coming in from a crime standpoint, you're now talking about coming in with not only the disease that we happen to be talking about so much lately, but other diseases. And they want to have open borders. They want people to pour into our country from who knows where they come. No, we're not doing that. We have a very strong border now, our southern border. And every day it gets stronger because we're building miles a day of very, very powerful wall. And that's a great thing for our country. That's so important for our country. And very few people are arguing with it. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, you often describe this fight against the virus as a war. How do you define victory?
So it is a war, and I define victory when it's gone and we open successfully. We have a successful country again. Now, it can never be a total victory because too many people have died. All over the world, people have died. In our country, in every country. I'm looking at the new list of countries. Look at what's going on with Russia. Look at what's going on with Spain is so incredibly harmed and injured by this. So many people are dying. This is not something where you'll go to your traditional, this was an experience. This is not an experience. This is a very bad experience. But what I want is we want the virus gone, and we want to have a vibrant economy. We want people back. We don't want people necessarily sitting like these incredible people in front of me, where they're sitting 6 feet apart. Instead, I want our country back. I want people to go out and see football games and baseball games and basketball and hockey and golf and all of these sports and not worry about getting sick and violently ill. One of the things that was very interesting, you probably saw it, we put it out before though, was Sweden, and you compared the deaths in Sweden to Denmark and Finland and Norway.
I know it's hard to believe, yeah, but Trump did go to college.
Say it, but the deaths are very, very substantially higher in Sweden because they've used that as an example. Brazil is very high. If you look at what's gone on, the graphically very, very high.
Look at who's leading Brazil.
Very straight up almost, right, Deborah? Very straight up. A friend of mine, great gentleman, president of Brazil. He's really a friend of mine. He's a great man. But they're having a hard time. They're going
lunatic.
Herd. Sweden went herd. But you know, when they say herd, it's really, in Sweden in particular, the bars you can't go to.
That's
certain
not
areas
true.
you can't go to.
Bars are open in Sweden.
A lot of the people are saying, well, the prime minister doesn't have to say stay in your apartment, stay in your house. They're staying there. They're not leaving.
This is not true.
So, you know, it's really...
Bars are open.
Not quite what was reported.
Lie.
But the number of deaths are tremendous in Sweden compared to the countries that surround where they did very strong lockdowns. And we were discussing that, Deborah, before. It's a very big difference. It's a very big difference. But again, Sweden didn't go really herd as you understand it. And also the people of Sweden, very smart. They're staying in their houses. They're not going out and...
This is not true.
Now, are some? Yeah, I guess, some. But they've lost a lot of people in Sweden.
Yes, John.
Mr. President, could I just come back to the...
Yeah, I'll get you in a second.
Can I get back to what we were talking about just a second ago?
Sure.
I missed in the interruption. Are you suggesting that maybe you have some evidence that this was not a naturally occurring virus?
We're going to see what it is. You're talking about the virus and
Correct.
where it came from?
Yeah.
No, we're going to see where it is. We're going to see where it comes from. And, look, you know every theory. You had the theory from the lab, you had the theory from many different, the bats, and the type of bat, and the bat is 40 miles away, so it couldn't have been here, and it couldn't have been there. And there's a lot of theories. But, yeah, we have people looking at it very, very strongly. Scientific people, intelligence people, and others.
And what gives
we're going to put it all together. I think we're going to have a very good answer eventually.
And what gives you
and China might even tell us. China may tell us.
And what gives you a high degree of confidence that this originated from the Wuhan Institute of Virology?
I can't tell you that. I'm not allowed to tell you that.
Mr. President?
Jeff, go ahead.
Mr. President, would you consider having the United States not pay its debt obligations to China as punishment for the virus?
Well, I can do it differently. I can do the same thing, but even for more money just by putting on tariffs. So I don't have to do that,
We pay the tariffs. He still doesn't get it.
Stand $1 trillion. But we can do that in I think probably a little bit of a more forthright manner. You start playing those games, and that's tough. We have the dollar to protect. We want to protect the sanctity of the dollar, the importance of the dollar. It's the greatest currency in the history of the world. It's become stronger. We have a very strong dollar. That's why we're borrowing at zero interest rate. With all of the stimulus that we're talking about, that sounds good though, General, doesn't it? We're paying zero interest, so essentially right around zero.
The General knows
but
all
zero.
about interest rate.
And you want to protect. It's a very good question. You say, "Oh, gee, we owe you a certain amount of money. We're going to keep it." But when you start playing that game, you're really hurting the sanctity, the importance of the greatest currency on earth. But we can do it in other ways. We can do it with tariffs. We can do it other ways, even beyond that, without having to play that game. That's a rough game.
Speaker, on a separate topic but related, Speaker Pelosi said that she envisions up to $1 trillion needed to help support states and localities. Would you support that figure?
So what's happening is the Democrats have come to us and they'd like to do a phase 4, and we'll think about what's happening. They want to help the states. They want to help bailouts, and bailouts are very tough, and they happen to be Democrat states. It's California, it's New York, it's Illinois. You start with those three. And the Republican states are in strong shape. I don't know, is that luck or is that talent? Or is it just a different mentality? But the Republican-run states are in strong shape.
Okay.
Look, I looked today.
So are you in favor or against?
I spoke with Ron DeSantis, who was here yesterday, as I said, and Florida's doing incredibly. Texas is doing incredibly. These states are doing unbelievably. They don't know about the word bailout. We had a call from
Florida.
A governor of South Dakota, and they have one of the finest run states. They have I think a constitutional amendment. They're not allowed to, they have to have a balanced budget, and they have a totally balanced budget. They just have a sales tax. That's about the only tax they have is a sales tax. I mean, think of that. So it's a whole different thing. But Republican states are doing very well. Maybe the Democrats should have brought this up earlier.
What a liar.
When we wanted certain things. And they did, and we said, and I said specifically, no, let's look at it later on down the road, but they'd like to do something. They want to do infrastructure. I can understand infrastructure. Think of it. We've spent $8 trillion in the Middle East.
Where'd we find it?
And we're not fixing our roads in this country? How stupid is it? And we're not fixing our highways, our tunnels, our bridges, our hospitals even, our schools even. It's crazy. But they want to do things, and the Republicans are in a much better position from, I don't want to use the word negotiating position, but we really are. We're in a negotiating position that's different because they want to bail out various states. Illinois is in big trouble. The governor understands that. Pritzker, he understands that. But Illinois is in big trouble. Is it fair to do that and then have states that are very powerful and strong like Iowa and Idaho. I mean, take Idaho. Look at all of these incredible states and look at what's going on and how successful they are. So you just take a look, and we're going to look at it. We're going to look at it. I think we want to take a little bit of a pause. But if we do that, we'll
He's
have
pausing. Tons of people still haven't gotten any money.
Okay.
So just
Kristen, go ahead.
a question on masks, but very quickly to follow up on Jeff. It sounds like you're potentially open to Leader McConnell's call that states should apply for bankruptcy. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just, it's an idea that he has. He threw that out as an idea. I've spoken to him about it very strongly, and we're going to see what happens. We'll take a little bit of a pause. We'll see what happens, but some states are in trouble. I spoke today. I was with a wonderful man, a great gentleman, a wonderful human being. I think Bill knows him too, from New Jersey, Governor Phil Murphy. And we talked about it. You know, New Jersey is it's a wonderful state, I have to say. It's a wonderful place, but it's got a lot of difficulty in terms of the economics and the debt, the costs, et cetera. So it's in a different position than some of the other states that we could mention. We could mention them all day long.
About masks, if I could. Vice President Pence did not wear one when he visited the Mayo Clinic earlier this week. He's wearing one today. You are traveling to Arizona. Will you wear a mask? What is the policy for you?
Well, I'm going to have
Vice
to see.
President?
I am going to Arizona. I look forward to that. I'll have to see the climate. I mean, I'm going to look at, see, you know, where I am. Here's a place that we all feel very comfortable. Everybody's spread out. It's a very big room. But as far as where I'm going in Arizona, I'm going to have to look at the climate. I'd have no problem wearing a mask.
Hey, that's good for him to
I
say.
don't know. I'm supposed to make a speech. I just don't know. Should I speak in a mask? You're going to have to tell me if that's politically correct. I don't know. If it is, I'll speak in a mask. But I have I'm going to be making a speech in Arizona. I look forward to it. And depending on the conditions, I would have no problem wearing
I'll take this, guys. It's important for him to actually say this. It'll get people to wear masks.
There was
better for him
another
to do
thing. I mean, it was very hard to get masks. We now have, and we're making millions and
Well,
millions
you just
of
need
masks.
one mask,
They're
dude.
opening
I mean,
plants, and it's been incredible.
Change your position because
Go ahead, please.
The chairman of the Federal Reserve has said that the economic recovery is going to be long and slow. You have said that it's going to bounce back quickly. What do you know that he doesn't know?
Well, I didn't hear what he said. I can only tell you that I see it. I think it's going to be a transition quarter, the third quarter. I think the fourth quarter is going to be very good, and I think next year is going to be fantastic because of the stimulus. And I haven't seen a statement, but I think we're going to have a great year next year. Knowing that we left behind a year of tremendous death. It was just a terrible thing, the likes of which we haven't seen. I guess if you go back over 100 years, 1917, and that was a terrible thing. But that was close, depending on your account or the account, anywhere from 50 to 100 million people died. 1917. So we haven't seen it. It's over 100 years. And so understanding that that was terrible, I think that next year from an economic standpoint, I mean, look at the stock market. People are amazed. The stock market's at over 24,000. Well, it was at 29,000. It's 24,000 now. Is that even possible considering what we've gone through?
Right.
Because people are very smart. Many of these people are very brilliant, and they look and they see a great future. The other thing, the dollar is very strong. So when we go out and do stimulus packages, we're oversubscribed at zero. Think of it. You get your money back at zero. It's a pretty incredible thing. The euro's having a hard time, and it's much smaller. The dollar has really become, the dollar is king, and the dollar's
increasingly not
a position now. It's just
a lot of countries are moving away from the dollar as a reserve currency, actually. Bigger topic, I've done stories on it.
In big trouble. They're really in big trouble, whereas the dollar is very powerful, very strong. So the good part about that is if you do go out and if we do want to do stimulus or whatever we want to do, we're borrowing at zero and the dollar is very strong. Okay, Jim? Yeah, Jim.
Back to what John was asking about the possibility that this virus came out of a lab in China. Are you insisting, or would you insist on China allowing U.S. investigators into that lab to make sure?
I don't want to go into that. We're going to see. So far, I think China's been trying to be, or at least they seem to be trying to be somewhat transparent with us, but we're going to find out. You'll be learning in the not too distant future. But it's a terrible thing that happened. Whether they made a mistake or whether it started off as a mistake and then they made another one, or did somebody do something on purpose? Say, hey, you know, I don't understand how how people weren't allowed into the rest of China, but they were allowed into the rest of the world. That's a hard question for them to answer.
Right.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Mr. President, on Kim Jong-un, have you got an update on his condition and whether he is alive or dead?
Well, I understand what's going on, and I just can't talk about Kim Jong-un right now. I just hope everything is going to be fine. But I do understand the situation very well. Please.
Going back to when you talked about being complimentary of China early on, were you saying that you were complimentary of China because you were concerned about the trade
Well, I'm
deal?
making a trade deal with China. This was before the virus. Of course they're going to be complimentary.
Right.
Now, I was very uncomplimentary prior to that
It's all
negotiation. And then every once in a while, the negotiation would break down because I'm not like Kerry, who signed the worst deal, the Iran deal, which was such a disaster. And he never left the table. I left the table a lot. Anyway, we ended up making a deal. And of course, during the course of the deal, I was both complimentary and very uncomplimentary. But the bottom line is we ended up making a deal before the virus came. And I was very happy with the deal. But then later on, that was superseded by a virus that should not have happened. Well, I just want to thank you all very much, and we'll see you probably tomorrow sometime. Thank you very much.
Is. So the big thing today, certainly Donald Trump saying he has evidence, but he can't talk about it, that the virus may have actually originated in a Wuhan lab, but he can't talk about it. He can't talk about it. Don't forget that. Listen, let me say a few other thank yous here as we wind down. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube as you go. I want to say a huge thank you to so many people, including Bernice Akium, who is new member number 31 today. Randy Buss is new member number 32. It's heartwarming to see all these names come in. Elijah Jankiv is new member number 33 on my website. Beth Cintron, of course, I may have mentioned already. And so many great people. Karina Kopek is new member number 35. Andrea Dube signed up as well. Thank you to everybody. And we'll be back with much more so soon. And new clips we'll be publishing all night on YouTube. It'll be like I'm here, except on some kind of tape delay.